Right there, look. It's going up the hill.
What was that?
Turn it off.
What?
Yeah.
Told you. I told you. There's someone got in the woods. I saw them walking there.
Campers love spending the night in the woods, but what happens when nature decides it doesn't want them there? From Bigfoot stalking campers to lions attacking tents, here are 60 times campers realized they weren't alone in the woods. Witness a terrifying incident where a camper is woken up in the middle of the night by a strange noise outside his tent, except that he doesn't know what it is. It almost sounds like a scream, but animals also make strange sounds at night. What if he's being stalked by something dangerous, though? Could his life be in danger? In 2023, a man was setting up camp in the woods in Washington when he had one of the scariest experiences of his life. He knew he was in trouble when he got late to the woods, but he never imagined it would be this scary. And just when he thought the strange noise had gone, he got hit with another scary dose. In 2011, a couple took their kids target shooting in the woods when they noticed a helicopter circling their location. They continued with their adventure, not thinking much of it. But when they re-watched the footage, they made a bone-chilling discovery.
Whoa! What?
The helicopter wasn't there to annoy them, it was hunting something in the woods. And they saw this figure running in the top right of their footage. But was it just a man on the run or Bigfoot?
Whoa! Whoa, that was a big kick!
April 7th, 2012, a man was out in the woods taking photos of the wildlife when he noticed a significant shadowy figure standing menacingly behind the tree line. The figure stood there, staring right back at the man. What made this unsettling was that it reflected no light off it, even when it was right under the open sun. Cave divers are a different breed, squeezing into the tiniest gaps to get adrenaline. But what happens when things don't go so well for them?
Okay. That's a boat mission. That's not for a human.
The diver knows he can't go any further, so he stays up and camps for the night. What he doesn't realize, though, is that tight gaps are the least of his problems in this cave.
Oh my f***ing God. That was the sound.
In 2024, a group of friends decided it'd be a good idea to spend the night in one of the most haunted mental asylums in the UK. And it's safe to say it didn't go well for them.
But we're doing it.
It's a nervous chill.
It is a nervous chill. That creaking though, that creaking is probably going to be the one thing that keeps us up.
They slowly walked through the deserted building, looking for signs of paranormal activity. And just when they thought they'd be going back empty-handed, the spirits responded.
Feel free.
Roman.
In January 2024, a man went stealth camping on a hiking trail, hoping to spend the night there. But little did he know that his camp wasn't as hidden as he thought.
Hello? Alright, I'm getting the f*** out of here. Hello?
Something was messing with his tent, but was it an animal or another person? The man knew he was in danger and had to escape ASAP.
Hang on. Hello? Okay, they're walking away now. What do you want? What do you want?
Witness a terrifying incident as two men sitting around a campfire at night hear an unnerving noise from the woods.
Hear it? Get Trevor. Austin, get the light.
Alarm bells rang as they got up and prepared for the worst. However, what they heard after that haunts them in their nightmares.
Hey!
That was not an elk.
Solo camping in the cemetery is not for the faint of heart. This guy, for instance, was setting up for the night when he noticed a strange sensation around him.
Nakita niyo ba ako? Gago, sobrang dilim. Gago. Creepy.
He or something was unaware of his surroundings in the dark, but the camera picked it all up. He was not alone. Someone or something was walking next to him.
Cementerio. Hello po.
Speaking of haunted cemeteries, these men camped out at one in the middle of the woods, and to no one's surprise, they regretted his decision. They were alone in the woods, yet they heard whispers around them. Was someone messing with them, or were they being haunted by the spirits?
Did you make like a whispering noise?
The following footage comes from Ohio, where a man spotted a tall, shadowy figure walking across the trees and then decided to camp for the night anyway, which in hindsight was a big mistake.
Jesus, it sounds like it's right in front of me. Oh, what a stupid thing.
The beast's growls woke him up in the night, but what he didn't realize was that going out could be the worst mistake of his life. This footage comes from Central Virginia, where a man was on his daily hike when he noticed something moving in the distance. But little did he know that he wasn't looking at an animal. He was looking at the legendary Bigfoot.
Oh God, there it is. There it is. See it?
The exact tall, menacing figure many have seen stood before him, clearly visible through the trees. But as enchanting as it was, the man knew he had to escape.
Where'd it go? Oh God, it's right there in the center. See that?
Japan's notorious haunted forest is known for mishaps, but those stories aren't enough to stop people. And these folks took their trip to the next level by spending the night there.
No, pre.
Doing it, bro.
What the freak?
Lawan mo, bro.
Yo. Sa mga oras na to, mukhang hangin nga lang. Pero
the ribbons kept moving even though they were tightly tied to the trees. So what was it? Were they being visited by a ghost?
Yo.
I mean, there is wind.
There is wind, but this could dapat ito rin.
It could be because yung wind is somewhere.
Two men are stalked deep inside one of England's most haunted forests, except that an animal isn't stalking them. It's something else entirely.
Hello?
They keep hearing whispers in the distance, but the person talking doesn't respond to them. But is there anyone else in the woods at all, or are they hearing actual spirits?
Yeah,
You heard that, didn't you?
yeah.
What's that? That's like a...
Talking.
Speaking of English haunted forests, the same two men also visited one in June 2021. But what started as a fun adventure quickly turned into a nightmare when they heard random footsteps around them.
Did you hear the footsteps there?
This happened in the evening while they still had some light. But as the woods got darker, so did their experience.
We have to go over to the tree. The big tree.
What happens when someone spends the night in a satanic cult forest? These two folks did precisely that. What they encountered was terrifying.
What was that?
I don't know. Yeah, they saw something.
No, I heard something.
They kept seeing movement in the dark, but chalked it up to their brain playing tricks on them. But the reality was different because when they returned to their camp, the thing decided to visit them.
I'm telling you, every time we go in complete darkness, there's something there. Like, I can see something.
Running into spirits in the woods is terrifying, but what's even scarier? An ancient hazard that could catch anyone off guard and cause real damage.
And look in, you realize it is deeper than any fire dam I have ever seen. There are no trespassing signs, there are no...
A massive hole with no warning signs around it. That's a recipe for disaster. But the crazy thing is that this hole doesn't look natural. It seems like a trap.
And what terrifies me, if you come up here in a hurry, in the dark, there's a loop of barbed wire here on the ground. You could catch your foot on that, head over heels.
Witness a fascinating journey through the eyes of a camper who spent the night at an ancient burial ground that dates back to the 8th century. And as you'd expect, this place is nothing short of incredible.
Look at it. Oh, that's a bit random.
But while the place looked peaceful, it harbored something that didn't want trespassers snooping around the area.
1860.
Hello?
Animals make strange noises at night, and usually that's a good sign because when they go silent, you know you're in some big trouble. That's precisely what happened to this guy, who kept hearing the exact sound piercing through the forest while everything else went silent. But was it an animal or something else entirely? The Black Forest is notorious for haunted activity, and spending the night there is not for the weak. So when these folks camped inside in 2023, they knew they were in for a hell of a night. They expected paranormal activity around them. However, they got something much scarier. They heard a car whizzing by their tent even though they were deep in the woods.
Is that someone's dog?
In 2023, a man in Tennessee was out in his backyard with his young daughter when he noticed something strange hiding among the trees outside his property.
Do you see that? Do you see that? I'm afraid.
One thing is getting trespassers on your property, but this was no man. It wasn't even an animal. This was much more significant, almost as if the Bigfoot had visited the man. The following footage comes from Utah's notorious cursed forest, Kay's Cross, where the lines between reality and the supernatural blend and lead to terrifying discoveries.
Music box, dude. Music box.
These folks had no idea what they were getting themselves into because while the music box was enough to send shivers down their spines, they got hit with something worse right after.
It's one of the lights, dude! One of the lights!
Here, I'm gonna come back.
Oh my god! Shit, man. How is that possible?
In November 2024, a man went solo tarp camping in the woods with his 2 dogs. But as soon as the night fell, his dogs ran off and he was left stranded.
Get out.
But while he knew he was unsafe, he had no idea just how much danger he was in because the light he saw wasn't random. This man was being stalked.
Get out. See? Orientation.
Sometimes you don't even have to wait for the nightfall for creepy things to happen in the woods. This camper, for instance, was setting things up when he heard footsteps approaching. He kept hearing noises, even though nothing was there. In the end, it got so bad that he abandoned his camp altogether. But it was only on his way back that he realized what was stalking him.
There's a dog behind me. Maybe it was a dog this whole time. It's a big... Right.
The following footage comes from Ontario, Canada, where some boaters noticed something strange in the distance. When they looked closer, however, they realized they'd just spotted a Sasquatch.
It's captured by some boaters. I'll play it through and then I'll zoom in on the subject and then play it again at full speed and then slow it down.
This is arguably one of the most explicit videos of the creature we've ever seen, with the legendary beast running through the trees and exposing itself to the sun. And what solidifies it is the color of its fur.
That thing is the same color as the undergrowth. If it laid down, you probably would not be able to see it.
In October 2020, a family heard bizarre screams outside their cabin in the woods. What made them scary, however, was that they were non-stop and sounded like an animal was in agony. Naturally, they walked outside to investigate. What they heard after, though, can only be described as a loud conclusion to the saga, a heavy thud. Everything went silent after that. Everyone knows about the haunted doll forests and the things you find there. These folks, however, ran into something much stranger.
Dude, give me my camera. These are new. These are new. What the What's going on here? I don't know. Where did these dolls come from?
These weren't run-of-the-mill dolls. They had been freshly burned. To make matters worse, it looked like someone was trying to perform a ritual on them.
In the spirit box, we got something that was really, really strange. And look at this. These things are smoking on the fucking tree. They're literally charred. Yeah.
Scotland is home to a ruined deer stalking lodge notorious for harboring paranormal activity, but that's not enough to stop people from going and camping there.
I don't know if you can see me or not, but there's a moon. The moon's rising over the skyline, just to the side of the old ruin.
But while the place looks beautiful during the day, everything changes at night as darkness consumes this lodge and its corridors start looking haunted.
There might have been dormer.
There used to be 2 dormer windows here. There's that one there and then one there. So if
Witness a terrifying series of events as a man decides to spend the night in a haunted cemetery only to realize that he's made a massive mistake.
Looks like there's someone coming up here.
He's alone in the middle of nowhere, with only the hum of the wind breaking the silence. But just as he thinks it's time to settle for the night, he spots something in the distance.
Hello? Hello? All right.
On May 30th, 2024, a trucker was transporting equipment to a rural industrial site in Alberta, Canada, when his dashcam recorded something extremely unnerving. The trucker didn't realize it, but when he looked at the footage, he realized he wasn't alone. A Sasquatch was stalking him. The following footage comes from Port Renfrew on the west coast of Vancouver Island, where a couple were hiking through a forest and made a startling discovery. They spotted a footprint right in the middle of nowhere, which didn't look human. So, was it just a silly prank by someone or an actual hidden beast?
One footprint, which looks like it is a footprint here.
In the Appalachian Mountains, a camper stumbles upon an abandoned fire tower and decides to spend the night there. But little did he know that he was walking into a death trap.
So here goes nothing.
Climbing the dingy tower was a challenge in and of itself, but things got tricky at the top when the wind picked up.
See right now. Holy. We're almost at the top.
Have you ever had the feeling that you're being watched? This man in the woods also felt the same, except when he looked around, he found the thing stalking him. He saw a massive shadowy figure peeking from behind a tree. But again, this was no man or animal. No, this thing was much more significant. But the beast moved just when he moved for a closer look. In 2013, a man set up a trail cam in Georgia to film local wildlife. What he captured, however, was some alarming footage. A scream that almost sounded like a siren pierced through the silence of the woods. And the sounds didn't just stop there, they got worse. Thermal cameras can be clutch in dark situations, and this is a perfect example of that because when a man shot the woods with his thermal cam, he spotted an intruder that didn't look human. Someone's peeking at the cameraman from behind the tree, but that's just the tip of the iceberg because things get even scarier once he returns to normal vision. Thermal cameras aren't the only things that can capture strange cryptids. This guy, for instance, was filming the woods with his drone when he noticed movement. A furry bipedal creature walked through the snow effortlessly but didn't notice the drone. One thing was clear, this wasn't human, it was Bigfoot. In February 2025, a man went solo camping in the wilderness and regretted every decision that led him to that point. He dubbed it the scariest night of his life.
I don't know if you can see that they are literally scanning up the night.
It turns out he wasn't alone in these woods, as he could see flashlights in the distance, almost as if someone was searching for something. Could they be other campers or hunters preying on people? November 19th, 2019. A man was out filming himself in the woods when he got the odd feeling that he was being watched.
I can see it, barely. Look, look!
A tall, shadowy figure was looking at him through the trees, and before long, the man's worst fear became reality. The creature was on the move.
Holy shit. Right there, look. It's going up the hill.
In May 2023, Mo Sergi went to the notoriously haunted doll forest and stumbled upon an alarming scene.
Yo, there's like
Whoa. Look at this, there's candles around it. What the hell is this thing?
With burnt dolls and a strange object in between, he knew this was a ritual site, but he decided to test it out where most people would have left it alone.
What the fuck? Who was that down?
Hello?
Was anyone there?
Witness a strange incident as a man walks into a private campground for the rich in Monte Rio, California, and makes startling discoveries about their rituals.
Yeah. This is the owl statue. What the fuck?
The site was used for burning effigies during rituals. That wasn't the only purpose of the massive owl statue, though, because it was hollow. following footage comes from Banff National Park in Canada, where a man spotted something truly spectacular, a female Bigfoot with her baby. The beast is extremely well hidden amongst the trees and the snow, but upon closer look, it can be seen moving back and forth, rocking its baby while also looking at the camera. On October 3rd, 2016, a man wandered into the forest in Suffolk County and had one of the craziest experiences of his life. He knew he'd made a significant discovery. A campsite wanted posters and a trap made of sticks. But just as he was about to inspect these things, he heard someone. El Fraile is a heavily fortified island in Manila Bay, Philippines, and in 2024, a group of people decided to spend the night there.
Sobrang dilim. Tapos medyo delikado dito dahil butas-butas dito. Yan, butas yan. Diretso yan sa
The buildings had turned into ruins with random drops and long corridors. The place looked haunted. October 24th, 2013. A man in Mississippi was out hunting hogs in the woods near his property when he ran into what he believed was a mythical creature. He'd just seen the skunk ape, a hairy, human-like creature next to a swamp. But just as he was about to get closer, the beast made its move. The following footage comes from Colorado, where a man was hiking through the woods when he noticed a tall creature walking through the trees near him. The beast was massive and covered in brown fur. The man knew he wasn't looking at an animal or a human. This was undoubtedly the Bigfoot. Witness a terrifying incident as two friends spend the night in the woods. But as they sleep through the night, their trail cam captures an alarming scene. A white figure appears behind the tent and walks achingly close. But that's not the scary part. The real kicker is that this carries a head. This footage comes from Utah, where a hiker noticed movement behind the trees and started filming, only to realize he'd made a significant discovery. There was no mistaking it. The brown fur, the tall figure. This had to be the Bigfoot. In September 2023, hunters near Alberta, Canada thought a bear was stalking them, so naturally, they set up trail cams. The reality, however, was much scarier. The source of the noise was not the bear, but an upright beast with glowing eyes glaring menacingly at their tent. The following footage comes from a small village in Okayama, Japan, where a man heard strange sounds from the woods after sunset. The The sound was ultimately out of this world, and while he thought it was coming from a boar, this was something else entirely. Eventually, he got his answer from a local. It was not an animal anyone could have guessed. The sound came from a Japanese sika deer. Camping alone in a haunted forest is never a good idea, and this man found that the hard way as he was interrupted before he could even set up for the night.
Yeah. What the hell was that? Somebody up?
Animals make strange noises, but this was different. It almost seemed like he was being stalked by a wolf, except that when he looked, he couldn't see anything.
Something's whistling.
In March 2023, camper extraordinaire Luke took his son to the mountains of Alaska, but an extraordinary noise interrupted his usual cooking routine.
Around so I can work on it a bit.
It sounded like a large animal was giggling outside his tent. But it wasn't just any large animal, wolves were stalking him. In 2017, a man was filming his camping experience in the woods, talking to the camera when a curious intruder interrupted him.
He's just there. Ah, you see? That was a quick glimpse.
This wasn't an animal, though. This thing wasn't even human. It was a real-life pixie, and this man had just captured it on camera.
Oh, there he is. Okay. That's... there. Huh. Well.
Witness a bone-chilling incident as a man wanders deep into the forest at night and starts hearing random noises around him. The loud screech almost sounds like a bird, but the strange thing is that he can't pinpoint its location. It's just as loud, no matter where he goes. In 2014, a family in northern Minnesota celebrated Christmas when they noticed someone walking outside their house. Except that this thing wasn't human.
Oh my God. No way.
That can't be.
What the hell?
It was Bigfoot, and the dog's behavior proved it. Instantly after spotting the looming figure, the dog started barking.
Oh my God.
Sometimes you don't need to encounter a supernatural beast to be in danger. This camper, for instance, found himself in one of the scariest situations ever. A massive bear waited for him outside the tent, ready to turn him into dinner. But just as he thought he was safe inside, the bear pounced. The following footage comes from Ontario, Canada, where a man camping in his car heard a loud growl outside his tent. Was it a bear or something else entirely? He had to be careful in any case, as a single mistake would have cost him dearly. Speaking of being stalked, this man went into the forest for overnight van camping. However, what was supposed to be a fun night quickly turned into a total nightmare.
To be honest with you, the hell? That is a person. I'm not even joking.
Stepping out of the van to investigate was already a big mistake, but after seeing the person stalking him, the man knew he had to run for his life.
What the f***? I can't see anything. Oh, what was that?
What's even scarier than a person or a bear attacking your tent? A pride of lions visiting you at night? The lions patiently wait for the poor campers to emerge from the tent, and the unfortunate part is that their tents are see-through, meaning they've got no place to hide. In 2023, content creator Luke took his son camping at an abandoned World War II Army base in a remote Alaskan forest.
Watch out! Oh, there's booby traps here. Yeah, here's another.
The base looked stunning with ruined walls and broken ceilings. The corridors looked like they'd been plucked straight out of a horror movie. The following footage comes from Catalonia, where some men wandered into a forest and stumbled upon one of the most horrifying things they'd ever seen. They thought they'd just seen a pale man, but as they got closer, reality dawned on them. This was no man. They'd just found the mysterious creature known as the Rake.